If anyone has questions, comments as we're going, just feel free to type them in on either platform, and I should be able to see them. Today, when it comes to building a legacy client business, when it comes to wanting to shift out of having to always pursue new business and new clients, right? Not having to do that. Today, step number one is we're going to focus on resetting because before you can add anything useful, we need to reset and recalibrate, shift out of survival mode a little bit. And we want to make sure that we're going to build your business around you so that it serves you and the business and life that you want. We don't want to be building a business that is based on anyone else's best life, best practices. Because to be honest, there's a lot of ways you can build a business that work. There's many ways. There's many ways to market. There's many ways to sell. There's many ways to deliver your services. Um, and many of them work. So we want to make sure that we're setting you up with a business that is built for you. That's really important. Wouldn't you say, Ash? Yeah. Yeah. And it can be very easy to try to set up or grow your business based on what you're seeing out there work for other people. And we really don't want to do that. So, Ashley and I call this refrigerator versus menu thinking. So, refrigerator thinking is where you come home after work, you look in the refrigerator, and you're like, okay, I can make dinner. I have, broccoli, I have some chicken, I have some black beans. And you kind of just look at the ingredients that you already have in the refrigerator and you make a meal out of that. So most business owners do the same thing. They look into the refrigerator of their life. They look at their skills, they look at what they've done, they look at what they're seeing other people do. They're kind of seeing what seems to be working for other people, and based on that, then they decide what they can do. So that's refrigerator thinking, and we actually want to avoid that, especially with what we're doing today. We want to have what we call menu thinking, where we're planning a menu. We come up with the menu, and then we go out and get any ingredients or anything we need to make it happen. That's how you build a business around you and build a business that serves you. Because if you build a business based on refrigerator thinking, you're typically going to be building a business that is based on other people's ingredients and what's best for them. With menu thinking, we look at who am I? What do I want? How do I work best? And then we go out and create based on that. So the first thing is we want to choose and start to look at a couple of things. So, number one, take a minute and I'd like you to write down whether it's digitally or on a piece of paper. If you're like Ashley, it'll be a piece of paper. Um, but the first thing I want you to write down is how do you want to work? How do you want to work with your clients and just in general? Do you like to work and the how is like, do you like to work in the morning? Do you like to work in the afternoon? Do you like to work after midnight? Do you like to work from home? These different things. Like, do you like to work 2 hours at a time, then take a break, then another 2 hours? Like, what do you think is the best flow for you to work? Would you say any more about that, Ash? Mhm. Yeah, so take a minute and write down what are the ways that you think serve you best to work. Yeah. And I'm more like, let me have my cup of coffee and sit here and chill for a while, you know? Yes, just start writing some of the qualities down. Yeah. So just write some of these things down. And some of this could even be some of the things you don't want to do, right? We're having this call right now. It's in the afternoon for us, at least. Um, we don't do calls at nights, right? Like Ashley has a thing for her that she doesn't do calls, she doesn't do client work after school time, right? Because she wants to spend that time with Mason if he's available. Now he's a teenager, so he's not always available to us or wanting to be around us. But if the one day he's available and emotionally available, we're here, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now we're here to like basically make him a plate of food. Uh, oh yeah, drive him somewhere. And then also give him $20 to buy snacks. Well, we're here for that. No, but that is actually we're joking, but we want to be here for that. Like later today, we're going to his track meet. And let me just tell you one thing. In a way, track meets are kind of hell because they're 4 or 5 hours long, and your kid does something for about 4 minutes of those 5 hours. Yeah. But they're just spread out. But we want to be there for him, and he loves that we're there, right? And we actually have to leave at like 3:30 our time to get there. So that's why we don't do client work later in the day or at night. When Ashley and I were first coaches and consultants, we had a mentor that told us you have to do nighttime calls. And this guy was doing nighttime calls 2, 3 times, yeah, for hours. And so we did that. We never did quite that much, but we had at least one or two nights a week for a while because we thought that's what you had to do. Turns out, no, you don't. But just because we heard from one guy who had done that and it was working for him, at least financially, we thought you had to see that was refrigerator thinking. We thought, oh, because of that guy, he was doing it and was working for him to get clients. Well, then we had to do it. And that was totally untrue. Um, so yeah, think about how do you want to work? Where do you want to work? Like I like working from home. I like working in my office or in a chair somewhere in my room. Um, some people would hate that. Some people like working in a workspace, like a conjoined a group workspace. Some people like working while traveling. Like I know a lot of people that like to travel and work while traveling. Great. I know someone who likes to work out of what's that called? Like a Sprinter van. Okay, while they're traveling. So just think about what's the location that you like to work from? And write these things down. So it's basically how, when, where. And so once you've written a few of those down, just type in the chat that you're done with that. And as you're one of the reasons this feels like a very simple exercise, but it's very important because these are the kind of things that if you want to build a sustainable business that you enjoy and you're not going to be burned out from, these are the kind of things we need to build into your business and have as an integral part of your business. And oftentimes, this is like when people are having a moment of struggle in their business, these are the first things people throw away and like try to like, well, maybe I should do nighttime calls. Well, maybe people aren't responding to me because of X, and maybe I need to do this, you know? Um, so we want to hold these things to be very important when we're building this kind of business. Is there anything else you have to say about this, Ashley, in terms of we really want to start looking at how do we want to work, where do we want to work, when do we want to work, and being able to choose those conditions? Mhm. Yep. So, one big shift that we want to reset in your business is we want to shift where does money come from in your business? So, most businesses have kind of like a one night stand business model where all their money is coming from first time clients and they're getting 2,000, 3,000, $5,000 at a time. They're working with someone for a short amount of time, maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe at the most 6 months. And then the one night stand is over and then they move on. That's most businesses. So their money is coming from that first, most of their money is coming from that first engagement with each other. That first way of working with each other, that's where most of their money's coming from. The issue with that is when most of your money's coming from that, what does that mean? That means every month you have to go out and get new people. If most of your money comes from a first time new person, then every month you have to replace that. You have to go out and get another first time new person. This is how you're on a treadmill of stress and kind of always having to do marketing and sales. and get new business. We want to reset your mindset around this, that the business model we're promoting here, we're teaching you, is that most of your money and almost all the good stuff comes from people you're already working with. It comes from your back end. It comes from working with people on an ongoing basis, people you're serving deeper and deeper. And the reason why that's so powerful is, number one, that's way better for the clients because you're helping them more and more. And number two, it's way better for you because although sometimes you might want to go out and get new clients, a majority of your business and money is not coming from that. So it's it's not necessary every month. It's not necessary all the time to be getting new business. It also really gives you, what's the word, a cushion or a kind of it secures your business in a lot of ways. When you know, oh, okay, it's April. In May, I already have 10, 20, 30 clients that are going to be working with me because they worked with me this month. And they're going to be paying me this. They paid me this month. They're going to be paying me next month. When you already have that coming in, um, then when things happen, like let's say the stock market crashes, let's say Facebook shuts down your ads if you're running ads, which by the way, we don't even do that. But let's say some front end thing, like someone shuts down your website. Like there's been a day or two where Amazon, I forget their service, AWS was down, and like someone's website was just completely down. When most of your money and most of the good stuff comes from your back end clients who already you're already in contact with, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect you. So this is a reset where we want to shift your mindset and your strategy in the end from most of your money you can plan for in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, because it's going to be coming from people you're already working with. And that's completely different than most businesses. Yep. Now, just the last thing before we dive into the money mindset, because I kind of made a case why this is really good for you as the business owner to shift from a front end kind of let me always go out there and get new clients to more of a ongoing back end, let me keep working with the best people. But it's also good for your clients because when you work with someone one time, even if that one time is for 6 months, but normally let's say it's 1 to 3 months, you're getting people, hopefully, if you're good, you're getting people some quick wins, which is awesome. But we call that phase stabilization. You're helping them, like, overcome a quick problem. You're getting them a quick win or two, and you're stabilizing them when it comes to this problem. But if you want to take people to really big wins, if you want to take people to mastery in some area of life, there's no way around it. That's going to take a long time. There's no quick fix that's going to get you to mastery in any area of life in 2 months. Okay. So, working with our best clients for longer periods of time is what allows us to get them not only to the quick wins, but also to the big wins in that mastery phase. So, Ashley was talking about money, and our relationship to money is one of the biggest factors that will get in the way of what we're talking about. Don't you think, Ashley? Mhm. And these beliefs often lead us to severely undervalue what yeah, just to severely undervalue our own value, our the value of our services and the value that we bring. So right now, just think about and write down what's the most you've ever charged a client. And if you've never had a client, then what's the most you could think of charging a client that would feel reasonable to you? And then think about and write down what is the longest someone has paid you to work together. Now write down what feels like a big price for you right now. And as we're going through these, we're going to start to see some areas where money is maybe showing up in different ways. Now think about this. When you think of charging more, what's your first reaction? When you think of charging more for what you do or your services, what's your first reaction? Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing related to this is how you buy is going to be how people buy from you. You cannot get away from this like money karma, this buying karma, right? Um, like Ashley said, if you wouldn't be willing to invest in your services, then potential clients won't either. And it's not because of the clients; it's because of your relationship to money and clients. And just like if you're a buyer and someone makes you an offer and you take 2 months to decide, then your clients are not going to be any quicker than that. You know how I know people are going to buy from Sarah, who's on this call? That people are going to see the value in what she does right away. Because when I make an offer to Sarah, she has a yes or no right away, and she either sees the value or she says no, it's not for me right now. Same thing with Morgan. I know people are going to buy from Morgan when she has things set up just right because that's how Morgan buys when I've interacted with her. So you can't get away from this karma of with your relationship to money and clients. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it comes from an energy of it just is, right? If someone makes me an offer, I either see the value and say yes right away or I say no right away. It just is, whatever it is, right? Uh, if I'm working with someone and they give me homework and they're helping me, I do it no matter what, just because this is what I'm doing. It just is what I'm doing, right? I'm committed to it. Um, and those are the kind of clients we want to keep working with over a long period of time, right? But it starts with you. That's why we're resetting this for you, because it starts with your beliefs and your energy behind it and how you're acting in these situations. The good news is all of you have paid Ashley and I. So none of you here are someone who hasn't paid invested in your own mentorship, right? So we can't call you out and say, well, you've never invested in your mentorship because you've paid Ashley and I for mentorship. You're here, you're doing the work. So you already have the karma starting off on the right foot, the energy, the belief. But we just want to highlight this is often one of the things that will trip most people up. Like when I'm talking to someone who's not a client and they're saying, well, these people aren't buying from me or these people aren't seeing the value in what I do. And I'll just simply ask a couple of questions about kind of the choices they're making in their own life or the beliefs they have. And then it's very obvious why people aren't continuing to work with them year after year or why people are taking 4 months to decide if they want to work with them. It's because they're doing those similar things. Yeah. Yeah, and it's sort of a standard. Like Ashley said, she is correct. There's always going to be people that are going to try to engage your services who, let's say, are not ideal clients, or they are someone who takes 4 months to make a decision. They are someone who's maybe not acting quite right away on homework. But when you're doing these things, you're having the right beliefs. That sets a standard for your clients. And that's one of the most important things you're doing as a service provider is setting the standard. One question. Oh, go ahead, Ashley. No, go ahead, Ashley. No, you go ahead. Yeah, a big part of working powerfully with people is going to be cleaning up our energy and our beliefs around money and value. So that's a big part of this. And you'll see this come out in so many different ways. It's sort of like dating. If I'm asking someone out on a date or even if I'm asking someone to marry me, like I want to try to have clean energy around that, clean beliefs, because if I don't, it's going to come out in a very sort of insecure way. Like I'm going to say, "Hey, can I take you out on Friday? It's okay if you can't go because I understand maybe you're busy a Friday, maybe you already have plans." And I'm going to like try to fill that space with a bunch of my insecure babbling. Or I might not even make the offer at all because I just overthought it. Or one of many other things that could come out of that. So this is why these mindsets around money and value and clients is so important. And yeah, and the money mindset is often like what you're focusing on, right? A lot of times we might be in a position because we might feel like I wouldn't pay for these services because of XYZ. And it's because of what we're focusing on. But if we focus on the context of someone's life and how staying exactly the same as they are now is going to drastically negatively impact them, or on how making the change you help them with is going to drastically change their life, that can be a very different way of viewing money and value and clients. Like, I don't think an hour spent with Michael Arndt is worth 1,000, 10,000, $5,000. I don't think it's worth that. So spending an hour with me is not worth it. But if through spending an hour with me, you figure out how you can add $40,000 a month to your business, well, that might be worth a little bit of money. Or if you figure out how you can stop arguing with your child and have, you know, a connected day on Friday, versus where you're just disconnected or arguing all the time. Those are different things. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. And the other thing we're gonna do is we wanna really be able to map what you do with people to help them and how you and we wanna be able to sequence and break it down in a way that helps us build a legacy client business. So most people, the way they map out how they're helping people and how they sequence it and break it down, um, most people make way too big of promises and then they overwhelm clients with information and tasks. Um, so they make way too big of promises in the beginning. On the first time they ever work with someone, they're making a huge promise. And well, guess what? If you make a huge promise and then overwhelm people with a bunch of information and tasks they have to do to get there, uh, most people are going to drop out of that. They're not going to continue working with you because it's overwhelming. It feels like it's going to take forever. But so we want to be mapping out how you structure what you communicate and deliver to people in a way that enables them to get results and to keep working with you. So typically that means we're going to make smaller promises, maybe more specific promises, and we're going to sequence things in a way that just makes sense for people to continue working with you as long as they're enjoying with you, working with you, the trust is building and they're getting these small little results that you've promised them over and over. That's how we have a legacy client business. So Ashley and I did this in our first business when we helped people with dating and relationships. In fact, when we did this at first, we made the mistake everyone does because again, we thought, oh, you had to make this big promise and then charge a lot of money, and so we're like, oh, we'll help you, basically meet the love of your life and get married and blah blah blah. that's too big of a promise to start. So in the end, our promise was much more dating related. And then that leads to a bunch of things you can continue helping people with, right? So if I make a promise to help you learn how you can use a dating app to get on a first date with someone that you would enjoy a first date with, then there's a next step I could help you with. Well, how do you get to a second or third date? How do you get to be exclusive? How do you propose? How do you become engaged? How do you get married? Once, what's the premarital coaching counseling like? What do you do once you're married? How do you take a relationship from good to great? Um, how do you, some of these people might want to get pregnant. So how do you help people with fertility issues? And on and on. So we figured out that there's there's ways you want to break down how you help people. So it's very easy for people to say, yes, I want to work with you, depending on where they're at. And then it's very easy for people to continue to work with you because you have not overwhelmed them with big promises. You have not overwhelmed them with a bunch of, I'm not saying here's 101 videos for you to watch and 92 million tasks for you to get this result, right? So that's going to be a big factor in how we set up your legacy client business. And it's going to be a stark counter example to what else is doing in the marketplace. Because everyone else in the marketplace is going to be making, because they're competing with each other to get front end clients. So they're going to be making bigger and bigger promises. Oh, I'll help you make $1 million. Oh, I'll help you make $5 million. Oh, I'll help you build a $92 million business. Oh, I'll help you. And so people are making more and more promises, bigger and promises to try to get clients. And to justify that, they're like, I'm going to give you all this stuff that's going to help you do that. When in fact, that's especially the best type of clients, they don't want all this stuff. They just want, what do I need right now to get moving in the right direction? So, what we'd like you to do is continue working on some of your money beliefs. Continue answering some of these questions we talked about and send it to Ashley and I after today's call. It doesn't have to be immediately after the call, but sometime today, tomorrow, send us some of the money beliefs, some of the things you're thinking, feeling, experiencing about money. And then the second thing is, what do you think might be a first promise you could make to a client, a new client, of something you could help them with? And that way, Ash and I can start working on and mapping out how you sequence, how you help people, and how you break it down. So, number one, send us um, some of these money beliefs you're uncovering. And number two, send us what you might think is a potential first promise you could make to a new client. Is there anything you'd add to that, Ashley? Yep. And also for all of you here, well, I suppose all of you not here as well. This is recorded and it's going to be in the classroom. The recording of this is going to be in the classroom in school, in our school community. There's a classroom, and let me just make sure I'm going to give you the right name of it. So all of you that are in this case study have access to this classroom in school, and it's just called Legacy Client Case Study. So in the classroom, there's a section called Legacy Client Case Study, and that's where I will be putting the recording of this and any of our sessions.